The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was filled with light. Thousands of alien leaders gathered in floating seats that circled a wide central space. Holograms of ships from many worlds glowed in the air above them. These ships were sleek, polished, and beautiful. Some looked like silver arrows, others like shining birds, and some carried glowing wings of energy. The council members waited for one more hologram to appear. They had heard that a new race had finally joined the stars. This race came from a blue planet called Earth. Many in the hall whispered, eager to see what humans had built. When the hologram of the first human fleet appeared, the entire hall shook with laughter. The ships of Earth were nothing like the shining crafts of the galaxy. They were blocky, dark, and rough. Heavy armor covered their hulls. Pipes and plates stuck out like scars. The engines glowed a dull red instead of bright silver. Instead of looking alive or graceful, the ships looked like floating fortresses. An alien with long silver horns leaned forward, laughing so hard his chest shook. Are these ships or are these flying rocks with engines tied to them? Another, with glowing eyes, added, did they build them with hammers and nails? These humans bring machines that belong in museums, not war. The laughter spread like fire. Leaders clapped their claws and tails. Some even mocked the humans by sending false signals of sympathy. The hall rang with joy at Earth's expense, but not all were laughing. Far away in the flagship Iron Star, Captain Mark sat in his chair and watched the council's reaction. The hologram feed showed him every alien face that mocked his people. His crew shifted uncomfortably around him. They think we are fools, whispered one officer, a young woman named Anna. Mark did not answer right away. He kept his eyes fixed on the screen. His voice was calm when he finally spoke. Let them laugh. They do not understand. His crew exchanged glances. They had worked hard for years to build these ships, to leave their homeworld and to take their place among the stars. Now the galaxy treated them like children. In the council chamber, an alien diplomat spoke loudly so all could hear. Humans, if these are your warships, then perhaps you should remain on your small planet. The stars are no place for toys made of iron. More laughter. Mark turned to his crew. His face was steady, but his voice carried strength. Our ships were not built to impress. They were built to endure. Each plate of steel has a purpose. Each weapon was tested in the hardest storms of space. They see weakness because they cannot see beyond their own pride. Anna nodded slowly. Another officer, David, leaned forward. Captain, should we respond to them? Should we defend ourselves with words? Mark shook his head. Words are not needed. The time will come when action will speak for us. Meanwhile, in the council, some alien leaders began to whisper doubts. Not all were convinced the humans were weak. A few noticed the heavy armor and the strange shapes of the guns. They wondered why humans would waste space on such designs unless they had a reason. But these voices were drowned in the sea of laughter. A council leader raised his long, feathered hand. Humans, your fleet is now recorded in our archives. If you wish to join trade, you may bring your goods. But as warriors, you are not welcome. Your machines will not stand against true fleets of this galaxy. The council closed the meeting with more jokes at Earth's expense. Messages spread quickly across the stars. Everywhere, alien citizens shared images of the ugly human ships. Some called them metal bricks. Others made jokes that Earthlings were trying to fly asteroids with engines strapped on. Back on the Iron Star, the crew watched the news feeds with tight jaws. Anna slammed her hand on the table. Do they think strength is only about looks? Do they think beauty wins battles? David gritted his teeth. They will learn. Mark stood and faced his crew. His voice was steady but filled with fire. They laugh because they do not know us. They laugh because they judge what they see, not what they cannot see. But the day will come when their laughter will end, and when it does, they will remember the name of Earth. The crew straightened at his words. The laughter from the council still echoed across the stars, but inside the human ship there was silence. A silence filled with determination. The humans had entered the galaxy. They had been mocked, dismissed, and insulted. But their ships remained steady, floating like iron giants in the void. And though the galaxy laughed now, deep in the hearts of the human crew, a promise was born. The promise that one day, when the guns fired, the stars themselves would hear the truth. The days after the council meeting were heavy for the humans. Every alien network carried jokes and cartoons of Earth's ships. The galaxy laughed without mercy. Some aliens even made plays where actors dressed as clumsy machines and pretended to fall apart in space. But mockery was not the only thing spreading. News of the humans reached the ears of the Draxan Dominion. one of the strongest empires in the known stars. The Draxans ruled with sharp claws and sharper fleets. Their ships were long, black, and armed with glowing weapons that had crushed many enemies. To them, humans looked like prey. In the capital of the Dominion, the High Commander spoke before his generals. His voice was deep and cold. The Council treats the humans as a joke, but I see something else. These newcomers must be tested. We will strike their fleet and show them their place. The Draxan generals bowed, eager for battle. To them, defeating humans would be easy. It would also remind the galaxy that the Dominion was still the strongest. Far away, in orbit above Mars, Captain Mark stood in the command center of the Iron Star. Around him, the other human captains waited. There were only 10 ships in total, but each one carried crews that had trained for years. Their faces were young, but their eyes were steady. A message flashed on the screen. The seal of the Draxan Dominion burned bright. The words were simple. Humans, leave the stars. You are weak. If you stay, we will erase your fleet. The room went quiet. One captain, an older man named Paul, slammed his fist on the table. They dare to threaten us already? We only just entered the council. Anna, standing behind Mark, spoke firmly. It was expected. They laugh at us, but deep down they fear us. That is why the Draxans move so quickly. Mark read the message again, then looked at his officers. His voice was calm, almost too calm. They will attack us soon. The galaxy will watch, expecting us to fail. We cannot retreat. If we do, Earth will always be seen as weak. We must fight. There was silence, then nods of agreement around the room. Preparations began at once. Engineers checked every plate of armor, every missile, every railgun coil. The ships did not shine, but they were ready. On the training deck, soldiers ran drills again and again. They practiced sealing hull breaches, firing batteries, and repairing engines under stress. Sweat ran down their faces, but none complained. They all knew what was at stake. In the quiet of the command deck, Anna looked at Mark. Do you ever feel the weight of it? If we lose, Earth loses its place in the stars. Mark did not answer at first. He looked out at the blackness of space where Mars shone red like a distant fire. Finally, he said, Yes, I feel it. But fear is not a weakness. It reminds us of what we must protect. The Draxans see us as prey. They do not understand what it means to be human. Anna lowered her head, a small smile on her lips. She believed him. Meanwhile, the Draxan fleet gathered at the edge of a contested system. 20 ships lined up in formation. Their hulls were black and sharp like blades of night. Their commanders laughed at the thought of facing 10 ugly rocks from Earth. They did not even call it a war. They called it a lesson. Alien news channels carried the story across the stars. Millions of viewers tuned in to watch the humans' first and final battle. Bookmakers placed odds on how long Earth's fleet would survive. Some said 5 minutes. Some said less. None gave the humans a chance to win. On the Iron Star, the crew saw the same broadcasts. David's fist clenched as he read the cruel headlines. They treat us like sport. They think we are nothing but dust. Mark stood at the center of the room, steady as iron. Let them think it. Every second they underestimate us is to our advantage. We fight not for pride but for survival, and survival is something humans have mastered since the beginning of time. The crew straightened at his words. Determination replaced doubt. At last the signal came. The Draxan fleet moved into the contested system. They waited there, daring the humans to come. Mark gave the order. The human ships left Mars' orbit and jumped to meet the enemy. Engines roared, and one by one the 10 blocky giants vanished into the stars. The galaxy watched. Billions of eyes turned to the screen. The stage was set. 20 sleek Draxan ships against 10 heavy human fortresses. And though laughter still echoed in many alien halls, in the shadows of their minds a question began to rise. What if the humans did not fall as easily as expected? The human fleet dropped out of jump space at the edge of the contested system. 10 blocky ships appeared one by one, their dark armor reflecting the faint light of a distant star. The flagship Iron Star took the lead, its engines burning steady and slow. Across the system, the Draxan fleet was already waiting. 20 sleek ships formed a wide crescent, their black hulls glowing with lines of red energy. The sight was meant to frighten. To the Draxans, the formation looked like a blade ready to cut through stone. In the command deck of the Iron Star, Captain Mark stood at the center. His eyes stayed fixed on the tactical screen. The Draxan fleet was larger, faster, and in every report more advanced. But Mark did not flinch. David leaned close to the console, scanning the incoming signals. They are broadcasting again. They want us to hear. On the speakers, the voice of the Draxan commander filled the room. Humans, this is your one chance. Power down your ships and return to your planet. If you resist, we will erase you from the stars. Silence hung in the command deck. The crew looked to Mark. He pressed the button to reply, his voice steady and calm. This is Captain Mark of Earth. We do not surrender. If you want to test us, then fire your guns. The channel closed. The crew tightened their grips on their stations. The Draxan ships moved first. Their sleek hulls glowed as beams of red light cut across the void. Energy lances burned toward the human fleet, fast and blinding. Anna shouted, "Incoming fire!" The Iron Star shook as the beams hit its armor. Sparks flew across the bridge. But the ship did not break. The heavy plates of steel and layered armor absorbed the blow. Other human ships shook as well, but all remained standing. The Draxans fired again, laughing across their channels. To them, the humans were simply delaying the end. Then came the moment the galaxy would never forget. Mark gave the order, his voice sharp. Return fire. The human fleet unleashed its weapons. Railguns roared, sending metal slugs at speeds so high they cut through the void like lightning. Missiles launched in waves, leaving bright trails behind them. Each missile carried warheads designed not for elegance but for destruction. The first Draxan ship took a direct hit. A slug smashed through its shields, tearing a hole straight through its hull. An explosion followed, scattering metal across the stars. Anna gasped. Direct hit! More slugs followed. Each railgun shot carried enough force to break apart mountains. The Draxan shields cracked, then shattered under the relentless barrage. Missiles slammed into weakened hulls, ripping ships apart piece by piece. On the alien channels, laughter turned to screams. The Draxans were not prepared. Their sleek designs had never faced weapons like this. Their shields, built to stop energy beams, were nearly useless against raw kinetic firepower. One by one, Draxan ships exploded, their black hulls burning bright in the darkness. David grinned as he watched the screen. They cannot stop it. Their shields are failing everywhere. Mark stayed calm, his eyes steady. Do not celebrate yet. Keep firing. Do not give them a chance to recover. The human fleet kept its formation, each ship firing in perfect rhythm. The Iron Star led the charge, its guns pounding again and again. Within minutes, 5 Draxan ships were gone. The rest pulled back, trying to regroup. But the humans pressed forward, missiles chasing them, slugs tearing through their lines. In the Galactic Council, leaders watched in shock. Billions of viewers who had tuned in to laugh at Earth now sat in silence. They saw the sleek Draxan ships breaking apart under the guns of blocky human fortresses. They saw the ugly shapes of Earth's fleet cutting through one of the galaxy's strongest empires. On the Draxan flagship, panic spread. The commander shouted orders, but nothing worked. His voice broke with rage. How can this be? They are nothing but iron shells. But iron shells were exactly what the humans had built. And iron was proving stronger than pride. Back on the Iron Star, Anna whispered as another Draxan ship burst into flames. They are not laughing anymore. Mark finally allowed himself a small nod. No, the galaxy has heard our answer. The battle ended with the Draxans fleeing, their once proud fleet cut in half. The human ships floated in silence, their armor scarred but still strong. Not a single one had been lost. Across the galaxy, the news spread like fire. The Draxan Dominion had been defeated by Earth's first fleet. The ugly ships that were mocked now carried fear and respect. The laughter was gone, and in its place whispers began. Whispers of a new power rising among the stars. The battle was over, but its echo traveled across the stars. For the first time in living memory, the Draxan Dominion had been forced to retreat. Their proud fleet, known for sharp discipline and ruthless victories, had been broken by newcomers from a small blue planet. News spread faster than light. Holograms of the battle appeared in markets, halls, and stations across the galaxy. Every replay showed the same shocking scene. Draxan ships crumbling under the brutal fire of human railguns. The laughter that once filled the council chambers was gone. Now there was silence, then disbelief, and finally whispers of fear. In the Galactic Council Hall, the mood had changed. Leaders who once mocked humans now spoke in hushed tones. A scaled ambassador with golden eyes said softly, "How could such crude machines do this?" Another, her voice trembling, replied, "Perhaps crude is stronger than we thought." Perhaps humans understand war in a way we do not. The council was no longer laughing. On Earth, the victory was celebrated with cheers and songs. Families watched the broadcasts and cried with pride as their sons and daughters stood tall in the face of the galaxy. For a moment, humanity felt united, no longer a planet divided by nations, but a single people standing against the stars. Yet inside the Iron Star, Captain Mark was not celebrating. He stood at the viewing window watching the endless dark. His ship was scarred, armor dented and hulls blackened by fire. But every ship had survived. He knew this victory was important, but he also knew what it meant. Anna approached quietly. "Captain, you should rest. The crew is proud. They want to see their leader smile." Mark shook his head. "Rest can wait. This was only the beginning. We showed them our strength, and now the galaxy knows we are not weak. But strength draws attention, and attention brings danger." Anna's face grew serious. "You think others will come for us?" "Yes," Mark said firmly. "The Draxans lost more than ships. They lost their pride. They will not forget. And the Council, even those who fear us, may decide it is safer if Earth never grows stronger." Anna was silent, but deep down she knew he was right. Later, in the war room, the captains of all 10 human ships gathered. Their faces were tired, but their eyes burned with determination. Paul, the older captain, spoke first. "We proved ourselves, but we are still small. The Draxans will come again, with more ships and more fire. We cannot fight them forever with just 10 vessels." Mark nodded. "That is why we must prepare. Our engineers must study every detail of this battle. We need to build better defenses, stronger weapons, and faster engines. The galaxy will not give us time to grow unless we take it." The other captains agreed. Orders were sent back to Earth. Shipyards lit up with new work. Designs that had once been considered too costly or too extreme were pulled out of storage. Humanity had no choice but to advance quickly. Across alien space, opinions were divided. Some races admired the humans for their courage and strength. Small colonies sent messages of friendship, hoping to stand beside Earth. Others, however, called for a united strike before humans became too powerful. The council was filled with heated debates. One alien leader shouted in anger, "They are dangerous. Today they defeat the Draxans, tomorrow they will conquer us all." Another answered calmly, "No, they fought to defend themselves. They did not chase the Draxans, they did not burn worlds. Perhaps we should seek peace with them." But the fear was strong. On the Draxan homeworld, the High Commander raged inside his fortress chamber. His claws tore at the floor as he shouted at his generals. How could 20 ships fall to 10? How could machines of iron crush our finest fleet? The generals bowed, too afraid to speak. The commander's voice turned cold. "This insult cannot stand. Gather every ship we have. Next time we will not underestimate them. Next time we will erase them from the stars." The Draxan Dominion began building its largest fleet yet. Factories burned day and night. Workers labored without rest. They would return with numbers too great for the humans to match. Back on the Iron Star, Mark gathered his crew once more. The lights of the ship glowed dim around them. He looked at each face, young and old, proud and tired. "They laughed at us," he said slowly. "They thought we were nothing. But we stood and we fought, and now they see us. Remember this, we did not fight for pride. We did not fight for power. We fought for survival, for Earth, for our families, for our future. And we will keep fighting no matter what comes." The crew stood taller at his words. They knew the road ahead would be harder. They knew the Draxans would return with fury. They knew the Council might turn against them. But none of that broke their resolve. Humanity had entered the galaxy with ships of iron. And though the galaxy no longer laughed, it now watched closely, some with hope, some with fear, but all with respect. In the silence of space, the fleet drifted forward, scarred but unbroken. The first battle was over, but the true war had only just begun. The galaxy was no longer the same after the first human victory. Where once there had been laughter, now there was unease. Where once humans were mocked, now they were studied. Every major power in the stars wanted to know how 10 blocky ships of Earth had crushed a fleet twice their size. In the great markets of Orion Station, traders whispered about human weapons. Some claimed Earth had discovered lost technology. Others swore that their guns were powered by strange magic. None could believe the truth, that humans had won with nothing more than steel, gunpowder, and will. In the halls of the Galactic Council, fear spread like fire. Many leaders pressed for action. A tall insectoid ambassador slammed its claw against the table. We cannot allow humans to grow unchecked. If they build more fleets, who will stop them? A smaller ambassador from a peaceful water world shook her head. They did not attack us. They defended themselves. We should speak with them, not treat them as monsters. The chamber fell into argument, voices rising until the hall was filled with noise. But in the end, no decision was made. The council was divided, and that division only gave the Draxans more room to plan their revenge. On the human side, preparation was already underway. Earth's shipyards, once quiet and slow, now burned with light. Sparks flew as new hulls were welded together. Factories produced shells, missiles, and armor plates day and night. Every worker knew the importance of their task. Each rivet placed, each weapon loaded was a shield for their families, a chance for survival in a galaxy that wished them gone. In orbit, the fleet trained without rest. The Iron Star led drills through asteroid fields and battle simulations. Crews practiced reloading railguns faster, launching missiles in perfect rhythm and repairing engines while under fire. Mistakes were not punished with anger but corrected with determination. Every sailor knew they might soon face another storm. On the bridge, Anna studied the reports. "Captain, the Draxans are moving again. Scouts say they are building a fleet 5 times larger than before." Mark listened in silence. His eyes were calm, but his jaw was tight. "It is what I expected. Pride does not forgive defeat. They will come with everything they have." David, standing nearby, frowned. 5 times larger? We cannot match that with numbers. Even if Earth builds nonstop, we will not close the gap. Mark turned to him. "Then we do not fight with numbers. We fight with preparation. We fight with what we do best, using every weakness they cannot see." His words carried weight, but the truth was heavy. Humanity was still small. Their victory had given them respect, but also painted a target on their backs. The Draxans would not stop until Earth was broken. In secret, alien spies watched human shipyards. They sent reports to their governments describing the strange designs. One spy wrote, "Their ships are ugly, but every part has purpose. No space is wasted. They build for war in ways we do not understand." Some races grew worried, others impressed. Quiet offers of alliance reached Earth. Small colonies sent messages, "Stand with us, and we will stand with you." Humanity was no longer alone, though the friends they found were weak compared to the enemies they faced. Meanwhile, on the Draxan homeworld, the High Commander stood before a sea of soldiers. His voice thundered across the parade grounds. "The humans humiliated us once. That will not happen again. We will bring them fire and darkness until their planet is ash. We will erase their name from the stars." The Draxan fleet grew larger each day, 50 ships, then 60, then 70. Each one sharper, faster, deadlier than the last. The Dominion poured all its pride and fury into this armada. Back aboard the Iron Star, the crew gathered for another briefing. The room was tense. Anna placed the new intelligence on the table. "Their fleet is nearly ready. We will be outnumbered 3-1. The younger officers shifted nervously. Some looked pale. But Mark's voice cut through their doubt. "Do not fear the numbers. Remember our first battle. They had more ships then, too. What saved us was not size. It was discipline, courage, and the strength of our guns. Numbers will not save them if they cannot stand against our fire." The crew straightened at his words. The fear in their eyes did not vanish, but it was tempered with resolve. Later, when the meeting was over, Anna stayed behind. She looked at Mark quietly. "Do you really believe we can win, Captain?" Mark looked back at her. His face was steady, but his eyes showed the weight he carried. "I do not know if we can win, but I know we must fight. If we fall, Earth falls, and I will not let that happen while I still have breath." Anna nodded slowly. She understood. Beyond the windows, the stars glittered cold and silent. Somewhere out there, the Draxans were gathering their power. Somewhere, fleets larger than any humanity had ever seen were preparing to strike. The galaxy held its breath. Some waited for humanity to rise. Others waited for them to be destroyed. And in the middle of it all, the humans prepared, scarred but unbroken, ready for the storm that was coming. The stars seemed colder than usual as the human fleet approached the contested system. Every ship was ready, every crew alert. The Iron Star led the formation, its engines glowing red in the darkness. The 10 ships looked small against the black void, but inside each hull was a force ready to surprise the galaxy once more. Far ahead, the Draxan fleet waited. 70 sleek ships lined the edge of the system like a dark storm. Their weapons glowed, a river of energy ready to strike. The Draxans had counted on easy victory. They believed Earth's fleet could never survive such overwhelming numbers. Captain Mark watched the screen silently. On his bridge, the crew felt tension rise. Anna checked weapon systems. David monitored enemy movements, and Paul, the older captain, studied the formation with sharp eyes. "They are faster than before," David said quietly. "We cannot outrun them in straight combat," Mark nodded. "We will not try to outrun them. We will use their pride against them." The Draxans opened fire first. Energy beams burned across space, striking human shields. The Iron Star shook under the impact. Sparks flew across the bridge, alarms screamed, and lights flickered. Anna shouted, "Shields holding at 70%. "Keep firing," Mark ordered calmly. "Do not panic. Focus on precision." The humans returned fire. Railguns roared, sending massive projectiles at the Draxan ships. Missiles streaked through the void, guided by AI to strike weak points. Each human ship fired in coordinated waves, striking the Draxan fleet with brutal accuracy. The first Draxan ship erupted in flames. Its explosion lit the surrounding ships like fireworks, and panic spread through the enemy formation. Another ship went down, pierced by a railgun slug that ripped through the hull. On the Draxan flagship, commanders shouted orders, but their fleet was already faltering. The humans had learned from the last battle. Every weakness was exposed, every mistake punished. Mark gave the next command. "Target the wings. Keep their center busy while we cut their flanks." The human ships moved in perfect coordination. They were slower, but their firepower was deadly. Missiles tore through shields and railgun slugs cracked armor plates. One by one, the Draxan ships exploded, leaving gaps in the formation. In the council chambers, millions watched in shock. Alien races that had mocked Earth now whispered among themselves. "They are incredible," one said. "I cannot believe it. 10 ships against 70 and still they fight." The battle raged on for hours. Human ships were battered, their hulls scarred and weapons overheating, but none fell. Every crew member worked with precision, repairing damage while keeping the guns firing. Every move was calculated. Anna looked at the screen and whispered, "They can't hold much longer." "Their flanks are breaking," Mark nodded. "Then we strike the center next." "All ships, focus fire on the flagship." The human fleet converged. Every missile and railgun shot targeted the Draxan flagship. Its shields flickered and then failed. A massive explosion shook the void, and the fleet's morale collapsed. Without their leader, the remaining Draxan ships scattered in retreat. The human fleet, though battered, remained intact. The Iron Star led them forward, engines glowing steadily. Captain Mark allowed a small smile to cross his face. "They underestimated us again. They will not do it a third time." Paul looked around the bridge. "We did it again, Captain. We survived and won." Mark's eyes scanned the horizon. "This is victory, yes, but it is not the end. Others will come. The galaxy is watching, and some will wish to challenge us. We must be ready." Across the galaxy, whispers of fear and respect grew. Other races began to speak cautiously of Earth. Some offered alliances. Others began secret projects to study human technology. One thing was clear: humans were no longer to be underestimated. On the Draxan homeworld, the High Commander screamed in rage. His fleet had been shattered twice, his pride broken in front of the galaxy. He swore vengeance, vowing to gather more ships and destroy Earth once and for all. Back on the Iron Star, the human crew worked in quiet determination. The engines hummed, the weapons were checked again, and repairs continued. Scarred but unbroken, they knew this victory had changed the galaxy. Anna placed her hand on the console. "Captain, do you think they will stop now?" Mark shook his head slowly. "No, they will come again. But they will think twice before laughing at us. The galaxy now knows one truth. Humans fight with everything they have, and we never give up." The fleet drifted forward in formation. Stars stretched around them like silent witnesses. They had survived overwhelming odds. They had proven that courage, skill, and determination could triumph over pride and numbers. And though more challenges would come, humanity had shown the galaxy that they were no longer to be laughed at. The war was far from over, but the Iron Star and its fleet had carved their place among the stars. Humanity was rising, the battle had ended, and the echoes of war faded into the void. The human fleet floated in the emptiness of space, engines glowing softly against the distant stars. The 10 ships were battered, some hulls scarred, but none had fallen. Humanity had survived the greatest assault yet, and proved that courage and skill could overcome even the most powerful fleets. Captain Mark stood on the bridge of the Iron Star, looking out at the horizon. The silence of space was different now. It was not the calm quiet of routine travel. It was the quiet of respect. Every alien fleet, every observer, every race in the galaxy had watched humans fight and learned a new truth. Anna approached, her expression serious but proud. "Captain, the reports are coming in. The Draxans are retreating far beyond the system. Other races are hesitant. Some are sending messages offering alliances. The galaxy is watching us differently." Mark nodded slowly. "They are learning. We did not fight to conquer, we fought to survive. But survival has earned us respect. And respect is something the galaxy cannot take lightly. On Earth, the celebrations were different now. They were quieter, not for lack of joy, but because the world understood the cost. Families cheered, but they also honored those who served. Ships had returned with hulls scarred and engines worn, but the people were alive. Humanity had proven it could survive where others would have failed. In the Galactic Council, discussion had changed. Where once there had been mockery, now there was caution. Leaders debated how to engage with Earth. Some argued for alliances. Others suggested studying humans before making any decision. No one dared to laugh. Even the proudest empires realized that Earth was no longer a planet to underestimate. Across alien networks, whispers grew into conversations. "They are human," one voice said. "They do not follow our rules. They do not rely on beauty or numbers. They rely on courage and skill. That is dangerous." The Draxan High Commander was furious. On his homeworld, he paced the great halls of his fortress, shouting at officers who could offer no solution. How can a few ships of iron defeat the finest fleet in the galaxy? They will pay. Earth will burn. But even in his fury, doubt had taken root. The Draxans could not ignore the truth. Humanity had fought with determination that no training or pride could match. Their strength was not in the shape of their ships or the brilliance of their weapons, but in the will of the people who manned them. Back on the Iron Star, Mark gathered his crew one final time before they returned to Earth. The room was quiet. They were tired, but their eyes reflected the fire of victory. Paul, the older captain, spoke first. "Captain, the galaxy has seen us. They know we are not weak. They will not forget this battle for a long time." Mark looked around the room. "This is true. But remember, victory is only meaningful if we use it wisely. We did not fight to conquer or to show pride. We fought for Earth, for our people, and for the right to exist in this galaxy. That is why we survive. That is why humanity will endure." Anna smiled softly. "We have made history, Captain. The galaxy will never forget this day." David, leaning against a console, added, "And next time they will think twice before attacking us." Mark nodded. "Yes, and when they do come, we will be ready. Humanity does not give up. Humanity does not surrender. And humanity never ever stops fighting." The fleet began its slow journey back to Earth. The stars stretched past them, silent witnesses to their triumph. For the first time, humanity moved through the galaxy not as a laughingstock, but as a force to be respected, even feared. Small colonies sent messages of congratulations. Other species offered cautious friendship. The galaxy, once full of ridicule and doubt, now paused to watch Earth. Some wondered what humans would do next. Others wondered if they should prepare for war. But all agreed on one truth: humans had proven they could not be ignored. Mark remained on the bridge, looking at the stars that had once seemed so distant and cold. His voice was quiet, almost to himself. "We are still small. The galaxy is vast. Many dangers remain. But we have learned something important. No matter how the odds, no matter the pride of others, humans will stand and we will fight. And when we fight, the galaxy listens." The crew looked out at the endless dark, feeling a sense of pride and determination that no alien laughter could ever shake. The Iron Star led the fleet, engines glowing steadily, carrying humanity forward into a universe that now knew its strength. And somewhere, across countless stars, the galaxy fell silent. Not in fear, not in doubt, but in respect. The humans had arrived. They had fought. They had survived. The first chapter of humanity among the stars had ended. The future was still uncertain, the challenges still ahead. But one thing was certain: The galaxy would never underestimate Earth again.